Change is coming across Minnesota, across the country, and across the world. A global green marketplace is rising out of demand for clean energy, changing both the way energy will be produced and how it will be used. This new green economy has the power to bring economic opportunity and prosperity to those who are ready for it. In Minnesota, the opportunities are tremendous in renewable and alternative energy and in energy conservation and efficiency. Our natural resources and geography lend themselves easily to the key sectors of wind, biomass, biofuels, solar, and supporting industries. But timing is critical. We are in the early stages of these new industries, and the regions that can most quickly align themselves with the opportunities will succeed. MinREM, Minnesota Renewable Energy Marketplace, is a proven leader with people and processes in place to lead Minnesota in a new green economy.
MinREM was funded by a $5 million WIRED grant from the Department of Labor. WIRED stands for Workforce Innovation and Regional Economic Development, and it was really an attempt by the Department of Labor to get workforce and economic development to work closer together. Grants were distributed by a competitive RFP process. There were 3 partners that were critical in this process. Private industry needed to lead, and then an education partner, which could be K-12, higher ed, or a private sector education partner, and workforce. The MinREM board is made up of 27 members. It's private sector led, and the private sector representation includes CEOs and presidents of renewable energy businesses, utilities, farming, and supporting industries such as manufacturing, banking, and law. On the public sector side, we have representatives from education, including K-12 and higher ed, foundations, labor, research, and workforce. MinREM's focus is really on talent development. The grant covered a 36-county area in rural Minnesota, and the main focus of the grant was to build talent in that rural area to support the renewable energy industry. Here are some of our board members to tell you a little bit more about the MinREM organization.
The most exciting part is trying to get groups of businesses together and understand how they can interact. It is great to be able to work with the institutions for education and some of the foundations, but I think in the driving, moving world of technology, businesses just collaborating at a meeting and saying, well, we're doing this, we're looking at funding out of Zurich, we're working with this and securities. That actually is something that I don't think is being monitored, and I think it's the sidebar conversations and phone calls and technology transfer within the businesses. That's something that's just not out there. That is something that, to me, as a CEO, is very important.
I think it was important to have industry in the lead because they're the ones that are going to make things happen. The government doesn't create jobs. The government can provide services or infrastructure that might relate to economic growth, but they don't create the jobs. It's the industry sector that needs to take the risk and make those investments and make things happen. And so I think by requiring that the grants involve sort of a lead industry partner really increased the odds that these were going to be investments that would pay dividends.
I became very interested in serving on the MinREM board because their purpose was threefold. It was private industry, educators, and government. In my years with renewable energy, I have not seen a partnership where it was collaborative with the 3 together, and it made me very excited because I thought this was a new venture and that we probably could do the most good for our area, our region, our state, and our country.
The MinREM board insisted on industry leading the funded projects, so we really knew where to direct the dollars. Industry knows where we need the training, specifically how we want to accomplish that, what we're building our projects for, and having that industry-led piece direct these projects brings it all together.
I was impressed with the fact that the MinREM
initiatives really had a very short timetable to deliver on a lot of significant kinds of grant possibilities, and they did it very well, they did it very effectively, and the kinds of projects that they funded, I think, were projects that have really significant kinds of long-term impacts on the region.
Having the expertise in small communities is one of the biggest issue. I think one of the things that I see as really a challenge is brain drain. If Minwin wants to continue to expand, we're going to be working with people in Zurich, Frankfurt, New York City, because they have more expertise in some of the banking and some of the research and the metals, some of those, because the good kids, the young people leaving our high schools are getting jobs in those areas, and they're not necessarily in our rural communities.
And you need to support the entrepreneurs that are coming up with these cool new inventions, these new businesses, these new services. And so the MinREM program is really focused on what we believe is going to be a new industry for southern Minnesota. We've already had some growth in renewable energy, alternative energy, but we see lots of potential for future growth. We need to begin rewarding those entrepreneurs that are coming up with the new ideas. We need to begin addressing the workforce readiness needs that we relate to this industry. And so MinREM kind of brought all those pieces together with some seed dollars to help us invest in that future workforce training and workforce readiness.
To date, MinREM has funded 28 projects. Each one is coalition-based, led by private industry in conjunction with education and workforce. These are a few of the projects funded by MinREM.
These are just a few of the stories of the projects made possible by MinREM and the $5 million Wired grant. I'm extremely proud of the coalitions themselves, private sector-led, education partners, workforce, and beyond.
It's necessary to have an organization like MinREM in our state because, first of all, to be aware of the federal programs that are there, having organizations that's on the lookout for dollars, both federally and state opportunities, and private funded opportunities that can identify, channel, and direct those dollars to meaningful, impactful programs here in our state to help foster renewable energy.
Or especially in an economy of this nature, to be able to retool, reskill, and develop the talents and the skills needed for that industry to be successful.
But I think right now, for the most jobs, we need to look at the three main areas, looking into energy savings, in the wind and the solar are the quickest moving. I think the sleeper out there that we haven't touched is what we're going to do with the wood byproducts.
I think the entrepreneurial side needs some investment here. We need some seed dollars to get these new ideas up and running. There's sometimes additional research that needs to occur. There's some market testing that needs to be done. And then, of course, making sure that we have well-trained, skilled individuals to work in this new industry is important. So I would really like to see both sides of that equation, both the business development side as well as the workforce readiness side invested in.
I think the next step is that MinREM really could be that information dissemination point for the state of Minnesota. They have gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of different projects, and I think are at a point where they could be a resource to the state of Minnesota simply by being that think tank, if you will, that point where people go to check to see what works and what doesn't work.
I think the biggest thing we have right now as a society, and that takes care of education, it takes care of business people like myself, it takes care of legislature and congressional people, is leadership.
Minnesota has a tremendous future in the green economy. We just need strong leadership to help us get there.